Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live, or outside of my live stream. You can consider joining the Discord that I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Down in the description below, I also have a link to a Pinterest board. We get asked a lot of times what our family's favorite whole food plant-based meals are, or what we are eating to lose weight. So we created a Pinterest board that has a lot of our family's favorite whole food plant-based meals there. Today is day 660 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 200 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing on your diets, if you're succeeding, if you're having struggles, what's keeping you from staying on track. And I feel like for all of us, a big thing that we have to deal with is, what are you doing to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the main screen. Anthony's checking in saying hello. Hello, Anthony. Christy checking in saying hi, everyone. Hello to you too, Christy. I hope everybody had a great evening last night and a wonderful day today. I did not end up doing a whole lot last night. Recovering from the long camping weekend, I suppose. I only took one photo of, I only took one photo of food from last night, and it's not very impressive, but we'll pull that up real quick. Last night, we had a very simple dinner. It was potatoes with some sour cream dressing. So let me see. That is the photo I took from last night's dinner. Nothing too fancy. This morning had our regular oatmeal with the oat groats, the spinach, onions, mushrooms, kind of our savory oatmeal this morning. And then, let me see, delete that. That's pretty much the food I've had since yesterday. Not a ton of food. Still trying to get some weight off here, get back under 300 pounds, because it's been pretty frustrating bouncing around the 300-pound mark here. Pretty Girl's mom says, good afternoon, all. Good afternoon to you too, Pretty Girl's mom. So yesterday, food, pretty simple, nothing crazy. Been a little bit of a different day today because our kids went to school for the, all of our kids went to school for the first time. Our twins are now in kindergarten, so they have what is called a staggered start. They went to school today. They will go back on Thursday. Then they start full-time next week. Anthony says, Spanish mushrooms and onions. Spinach, mushrooms, and onions. Yes, that is delicious. In fact, if you've been following along, or if you've, that is what I broke my fast eating, was mushrooms and onions. Didn't have the spinach, but I had mushrooms and onions when I broke my fast. Was not amazing by any means, but it was what I was craving at the time. So kids went to school, and it was neat to get them out the door and kind of be moving into a new part of parenting, I guess, or a little bit different area. Things shouldn't change a whole lot for me, but it is going to be interesting having the kids at school for 7 to 8 hours a day. I started listening to Chef AJ's interview with Dr. Lisle last week, and it is part of her food addiction recovery. You know what I might do, just because I brought it up here and I think I can do it real quick. Let me turn that off. I go to history. So I'm just kind of trying to see how far into the interview I even got, because I'm probably 2/3 of the way through the interview. It is the Food Addiction Recovery Week, Day 3, Why Some People Just Can't Stop Eating, with Dr. Doug Lisle. So what I'm going to do here is just throw that link down in the chat there. If anybody's interested in checking out the interview with Dr. Lisle and Chef AJ from her Food Addiction Week last week, there is the link for that. I am not through the video, but I was still going to talk about it a little bit because I liked some of the points that he was making. He was, there's a few different things that they talked about so far in there that I was going to go over. But I guess the first thing to kind of talk about is people's propensity to overeat or to indulge or to fall for the pleasure trap, and genetics, and if people have a fat gene or how that works. And he kind of explained it is that it's not like a switch where it is on or off, where you either have this obesity gene or this overeating gene, or you do not have it. It's more of a scale between, I think he kind of says, between 1 and 1,000. And somebody who, and that scale also has kind of a bell curve within it, in that most people around, are at like a 500 as far as the propensity to overeat or to fall for the pleasure trap foods. And then from that center point, it's a bell curve, and then there's outliers where there are some people who have no propensity to overeat. They never overindulge. They don't fall for the pleasure trap. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum are people like me, who always overindulge, always overeat, and always fall for the pleasure trap. And we all kind of fit within that 1,000 point scale. Some of us are a 0 to 100 where we don't have any temptations. And then others are 900 to 1,000 or 800 or 700. Just, all of us fall somewhere differently within this bell curve of propensity to succumb to the pleasure trap. And it was kind of an interesting conversation he had with her, just talking about, I think a big part of it is just recognizing where you may be on that scale, and I look at my kids and I see, I have 4 different kids and they are in 4 different spots on that scale, where my oldest boy, he may be at like a 300, or a 200, where he doesn't get tempted by a lot of foods. Soda is not, I could put a can of soda and a glass of water in front of him, and he'll choose the glass of water over the can of soda. But then my next child, our oldest daughter, she loves soda. She's a little bit more apt to succumb to pleasure trap foods or to overeat a little bit more. So whereas my oldest might be 200 to 300, my oldest daughter my second child might be a 400 to 500. And then there's one of our twins has zero. I mean, it might sit in between where my son and my daughter are, the older two siblings. She might be like a 350, or she might even be closer to what Danny is. Not tempted by a lot of foods, loves sweet things, but isn't going for the super fatty foods all the time, or eating all the time, or snacking all the time. And then there's our youngest kid that she is on the opposite end of the spectrum. She's more like me or her mom, where she's probably at a 7 or an 800 on this scale of propensity to fall for the pleasure trap or to overeat or to indulge. And some of the ways he kind of explained this different bell curve and how it is that you could have two people eat the same food, and one person can sit there and rave over the food and say, "Oh my God, it's so amazing. It tasted so delicious. This is perfect. It's the right amount of these ingredients mixed together. It's amazing." And they would rate that food very high. They would say that it's an 8.5 or a 9.5 out of 10. And then the next person eats that same food, and if that person's on the lower end of that propensity scale, they may say, "It's all right. It was good. It was fine. I mean, I wouldn't eat a ton of it, but sure, it was okay," And so they have less of a propensity. They don't get the flavors. They don't get the response from their body from that food that the other person gets. And we definitely see that with our kids, and have to recognize it within ourselves too, that they're all in a different spot. And I definitely am the very high end of that. I'm very apt to succumb to any type of temptation, really, in some ways, or I have been in the past. So I think a good part of that video was discussing that, recognizing that everybody is in a different spot on that scale, where, you may eat the same thing as somebody else and your body reacts to it differently. There's not much you can do about that, but you have to recognize it. The other part of the video that I was going to talk about a little bit too, because I haven't, again, seen the whole video, but he's talking a lot about I'm trying to think of, he talks a lot about calorie density. And when I started this diet, and many of us, when we start our diets, we are changing from the standard American diet, or the, a high calorie dense diet, or a modern American diet, or whatever, the normal diet. We go from eating this super high calorie diet. I was probably eating 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day in food minimum each day. And then I switched to this 500 or 600 calorie per pound whole food plant-based diet. And I saw a huge shift in my body composition. I went from being 520 pounds to 320 pounds relatively quickly, without a ton of effort. Honestly, I mean, it was just making sure I ate the right foods, a little bit of working out, but not a ton, and just focusing on my diet. And what happens, and what happened to me, or what is happening, is that at a certain point, eating, let's say that for the past year now, I've been eating at a 800 calories per pound diet. That 800 calories is a maintenance level for me at my weight, my activity level, and the composition of the food that I'm eating. I've reached this equilibrium. And that equilibrium, like that 800 calories per pound that I've been eating, was always going to help me lose weight, because it's better than the 1,200 or the 2,000 calories per pound that I was eating. But it is only going to get me so far. And it got me to that 320 pound mark. It got me eating an 800 calorie per pound diet, got me to a much better place than I was, but not all of the way. In order to get to my goal of 220 pounds, I'm finding I can't eat an 800 calorie per pound diet. I might need to go down to 600 calories per pound. And when I go down to 600 calories per pound, I might only lose 20 or 30 pounds. I might get down to 285 because of that. And then when I get there and I realize that I'm holding still, then I need to say, you know what? If I want to see success, I have to ratchet it up a notch. And it's not, there's a whole mentality, or there's a whole mental process that is either, I think of it backwards in my head, or it's been wired backwards, or I didn't understand it, or I haven't been understanding of it until now. But when I started this diet, I was all about being perfect and being dead set doing what I need to do. And it was great for my success. And I lost a lot of weight, and I showed up and had amazing results because of how perfect I was when I started this diet. And then as time went on, I started to become less perfect with my diet and kind of let things in that I should not have let in. But it's kind of this opposite thing, that when I first started, if I would have let these things in that I'm letting in now, I still would have seen success. I still would have seen weight loss. But now that I've lost weight, I can't let those things in. Like when I started, I was so perfect, and I held on to that perfection as long as I could. And then now that I've put a dent in the car or scratched my brand new ride by eating something off diet, then I'm holding myself less accountable to that standard that I had when I started. And it really should be the opposite. You should be very flexible with yourself. Maybe not the opposite, but it would work better opposite. If you're very flexible with yourself at the beginning, and you're lenient with yourself, and you allow yourself to get to where you're going, but then as you get going, you need to become more strict. And I did the opposite. So what I'm saying is that if you want to succeed, as you get closer to your goal, you're going to have to become closer to perfection than when you started. And I've always held on to, let's be as perfect as possible for as long as possible, and then deal with the imperfection when it comes. And I'm seeing now, or by listening to this interview, he kind of talks about how that my diet and the foods that I have been eating got me as far as they're going to take me without adding additional exercise or other variables in. So if I want to continue to lose weight because of my diet, I need to drop the calorie density another 100 calories or another 150 calories per pound. And I need to be more perfect now than I was 2 years ago. And that is a tough pill to swallow because that is different than you'd want, maybe. Or like I said, it's hard for me to know because it seems counter to what I've done in the past. But then if I look at what I've done in the past, it's never succeeded for a long term. So why would I continue to do that? Let's do something different. So really for me to get to my goal weight of 220 pounds, I need to look at the density of the foods that I'm eating and focus on eating high volume, very low calorie dense foods. And it doesn't sound appealing in my head to say it. It doesn't sound fun or exciting to do, but it is what needs to get done for me to succeed. It's so tough, you know, like I'm in such a better spot than I was 2 years ago, but I'm still far from a goal, you know, like I have a friend of mine who, has been, you know, extremely excited about their weight loss success, and they've lost over 100 pounds. They're down, around the 200-pound mark. And, their starting weight was what I weigh now. And so it's kind of, you know, like that was their rock bottom was me after losing 200 pounds. So it's a bit of a relativity thing, that I'm looking forward to figuring this out. It's something that I need to, do it right and get it done. And, it's been tough, because it's so different. It's such a different way of eating, and I'm still trying to grasp that whole part of this whole process. Because you know, I've had a lot of sugar in the past month, and that's a tough thing for me to give up, you know, like it just seems, but at the same time, I didn't have sugar for 10 months and it wasn't a problem. But now that I introduced it back, it's a problem getting rid of it again. So I really am enjoying that video. It's a little over an hour long. And like I said, I'm about 2/3 of the way through the video. I also listened to another video from that week that Chef AJ was on. Somebody had said something, was it Pretty Girl's mom at the end of the video yesterday said something about suggesting a video to watch? I can't remember. It was right at the end of the video yesterday. A comment came in like as I was closing. And I'm not sure if that was the video that they were going to recommend or not, but that was a good movie, or that was a good video. Let's see. Talked about food, talked about that. The swelling in my leg has gone down quite a bit. There's kind of a weird, like, reduction in swelling at the bottom of my ankle and right at the base of my calf, but then it's like a little bit, it looks a little inflamed in between the two spots, as weird as that is. Anthony is asking what happened to my leg. So it's really just that ongoing swelling that has built up in my leg. So when, you know, it was really what one of the reasons why I knew I needed to do something was because I had this excessive swelling in my calves and I had some sores developing. I've talked about this a lot. When I've kind of this past 3 weeks or since the end of July or beginning of August, I really kind of went off the rails as far as the salt, oil, sugar, and started noticing that swelling in my ankles again. Water retention, you're asking? Yeah, it's something with water retention or I don't know. I just, all I know is that when I'm on diet, when I'm on plan, the swelling goes away. My calves look pretty good. And, you know, there's some loose skin around there, but the swelling goes away. The second I add some salt and oil into my diet, it starts to swell up again. And I kind of let it go without much concern here for the first 2 weeks of August. And now this past week, I've been trying to get that swelling to go back down. And it's been going good. It says, Anthony says, I'm glad that you were still on a diet. Good. Yes. That was a big part of starting this, is that I was going to focus, or I was going to pay attention, or I was going to do something for the 3 years, because while I haven't been perfect on my diet, I definitely would say that I have been eating a healthier diet, and overall it has improved my life. So it's just a matter of getting to that strictness of the diet. And he talks in that video with Dr. Lisle and Chef AJ, he does talk a little bit about, being perfect, or being 95%, or being, and you can eat this way 95% of the time and still see success. You just have to make that decision is if you want to eat this way 95% of the time or 100% of the time, and deal with that kind of temptations that 5% creates, and the issues that come with allowing those foods in your diet. I really want to be somebody who can have that 5%, where I could say once a month I'll be at an event and I'll have something that's a little bit indulgent every now and then, but I just don't know if I can, like I really don't want to be here preaching abstinence, but I think I need to be sitting here preaching abstinence. It's incredible how much easier it is than trying moderation. Pretty Girl's mom says, yes, me, Tim Kaufman. So the Tim Kaufman interview with Chef AJ is the one you're recommending. I will have to check that out. I have seen interviews with Tim Kaufman. I think that I did an interview with the Center for Nutritional Studies, and they did a program, or they did a video series called Weight Loss with Plants, and I was one of the videos that they did. Let me see which video I was. I was one of the first. Number 7 was video number 7 of Wellness with Plants is what they changed the name to. I'm trying to see if Tim Kaufman was one of the interviews they did, because I know Richard Hubbard, somebody I've seen before. So I am not seeing Kaufman. I thought, who it is that Josh LeJaunie who I've read his book. That is in the description of my video here. I read the book. It's a running book. Which one is it? It's Sick to Fit with Howard Jacobson and Josh LeJaunie. That was a good book that I read. But yes, I've heard Tim Kaufman talk before. I might be part of a Facebook group that Tim Kaufman has. I can't remember. I know I've seen some of his videos, but I'll have to check that interview out as well. I wasn't sure that I was going to check out this interview with Dr. Lisle, and I'm glad that I did. I really have enjoyed that interview so far. Just kind of another Chef AJ thing that kind of popped up was I am supposed to interview with Chef AJ again in October. And I think that she wants me to try to do a food prep thing or show a meal, making a meal. We'll have to figure that out because it's not really a great setup for me here. But there was a video I posted the other day that Chef AJ had left a comment on that video, and it kind of kicked my butt into gear a little bit in that I wasn't expecting her to have watched one of my videos or commented on one of my videos. So like I said, it's kind of lit a little bit of a fire under my butt, and I cannot say enough how much that Chef AJ has had an incredible influence on my weight loss. Unexpectedly, that was not going into this. I don't know that I would have expected to become a fan of Chef AJ or her lifestyle or way of eating. But I am finding a lot of success when I follow her teachings. The listening to the Pleasure Trap has been an incredible, change, eye-opening experience or change, mental shift in my diet kind of perspective. And then, just the fact that she's interviewed me, had me with her private group, and then has me kind of slated to come back again in October. It's helping keep that accountability and kind of it's good. I'm glad. I really appreciate Chef AJ. I know a lot of you guys that follow me and participate here are Chef AJ fans. You found me because of Chef AJ. And I just continue to be just incredibly appreciative of everything she's done for me without her even knowing it. That's kind of the cool stuff. And that's kind of what I hope I can do someday for people, is to inspire them and to get them to go in the right direction. Anyways, I thought I'd just mention that because it was something that kind of popped up on my feed yesterday. And again, like I said, it's kind of lit a fire. I need to get down probably 20 pounds before the end of October or within the next 2 months. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to really kick ass. So maybe not 20 pounds, but I need to be comfortably into the 200s before I have that interview with her. So I'm looking forward to that. Considering the first time I interviewed with her, I was like the same weight I am now. And that was, when did I interview with her? 6 months ago? Gosh, it hasn't been that long, has it? It might have been right around it was my birthday. It was May, 3 months ago. Cause, I got under 300 pounds for my birthday. So anyways, Pretty Girl's mom says that you can't eat just a little of anything. finding I'm the same way of eating just a little of anything. Barb says, Chef AJ is good at kicking butt. Yes. I think that she's a good motivator. I'm really happy to have her rooting for me. And to have you guys rooting for me too as well. With that, I am going to get out of here today. I appreciate everybody's support. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel. Click on that bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. I will be live tomorrow. I will not be weighing in. I'm going to wait a couple weeks here, let my body do what it's going to do, and hit the ground running in a couple, or I'm hitting the ground running now, but I'm just not going to stress about the scale right now. I just, at least not on stream. I'm stressing about it off stream. Don't worry. I'm very worried about it, but, I just don't need the on screen stress of it right now added to things. So, I will be back to weighing in soon, just not tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. If you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing, absolutely nothing this weekend that's more important. There's no holidays coming up. There's nothing that is more important than your health and your overall well-being. Get started today. Quit pushing it off and making a later version of yourself deal with this issues that you have. Don't let another day go by where you are putting yourself closer to the grave. Nobody ever gets to their goals and wishes they would have waited. Nobody. Every person who reaches their goals looks back and says, why didn't I start sooner? What was I thinking? If I would have started sooner, I'd have been this way, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, I would have lived so much better. So get started right now. Don't fall for the myths of moderation, myth of moderate change, myth of moderate consumption. I will see you guys tomorrow.